If you're a spiritually aspiring being, I want to tell you something that is incredibly important. It's a really big deal. You need to know this. That is that you can be free in this lifetime. I'm going to tell you how to get there. Before I do that, though, I'm going to ask you a question. Now, I know that we don't know each other, but the question that I will put to you is, do you really feel that you are on your life path right now? And if not, why not? Are you compromising in some way, in some relationship, in some situation? Are you waiting for something to happen before you can take the next step? Or do you feel that you're not worth it? It's not possible for you. Why are you not on your life path right now? Now, most people lead a reactionary life. So they're kind of like a pinball machine, or they're like the ball in the pinball machine, and it's just banging around. Sometimes it's hitting the high score, and sometimes it's just going through the hole. And they don't really know why. Sometimes life is good, and sometimes life is really challenging. And what they do is they just react to situations. So can you recognize this? You are in a job, and you stay there because people have told you that it's a good job, that for your situation, you're lucky to have this job, and the chances of you getting another job or a better job are small. So, you better hang in there, even though you feel that you are in a level of compromise. Or you're in a relationship and you're just reacting to it, and it's only 6 months, a year in, or 5 years in that you say, okay, I don't want this anymore. So most people are living some kind of reactionary life. They're not living a life where they call the shots, where they say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go here. I'm going to do that. And that's kind of understandable because that's what everybody's doing. They're living a sort of life where they respond to situations, but they're not forging their own path. So we take our social cues from our environment. And the problem with living like this, living a reactionary life where you're more or less a leaf in the wind and you don't dare to make changes because everybody in your environment is telling you that you have to watch out, that the economy is in a bad place, and that you can't really do the thing that you're most passionate about because of some fearful story that they put to you, then it's problematic to be courageous. It's challenging to be courageous. But the thing is, if you stay living a reactionary life, you're going to be 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, and you're going to be even more dug into your situation, to your commitments, or to your areas of compromise, where it's even more difficult to get out. So what I would say is, you want to be free, like really free, in terms of having real meaning and purpose, real joy, real fulfillment in everything that you do. It's possible, but you have to make a very conscious choice for this. You have to carve out your path, and you have to often stand alone. You have to say, this is what I want because I've looked deeply into my soul. I've looked into the connection between me and my creator, and I know this is what I should be doing. Most people, though, they react from fear. They react from the story that society has given them, that there's something wrong. So when we're children, we don't think there's anything wrong, do we? We are beautiful, free, authentic souls, and we're just interested in exploring and finding out and looking for joy. But then we get put into the matrix, put into the system, and then we get hypnotized. We get programs with all these layers of fear that it's not possible, that we have to compromise, that there isn't enough, there is lack. And from all of these stories of fear, we are told that the best thing to do is to compromise, to watch out, go for safety. But have you noticed that that does not fulfill you at a soul level? That if you're listening still into this video, it's because you recognize there's a part of you which knows, really knows that there's something more. And that's the part that I'm speaking to right now. So if you listen to that part of you, what does it want? What does it tell you? Does it tell you that you should compromise? Does it tell you that your strategy should be to sit out your corporate life for the next 10, 20 years and, get a kind of comfortable situation and then wait for your pension? Or does it tell you that you intuit at a very deep level that something else is possible, something else is there for you, which is very, very, very inspiring. So my path with this has been that I'm just a normal guy, nothing special about me really. But I wanted to understand. Life didn't make sense to me when I was younger, when I was at school, when I was with my mother. Everything was just very uncomfortable, very painful, very difficult. And I thought there must be more. There must be more possible. So I started looking into the nature of myself. Who am I? Who am I really? And why am I here? What am I doing here? And what's possible? So that my uncomfortable use, my difficult use was very fortunate. School was hell, everything was hell. But I was very lucky. I was very fortunate because it helped me start to take an alternative view on the world. So I started to reject all of the societal conditioning and what they told us that we should want. And I thought, what do I want? What do I really want? And it wasn't until I picked up a book called Autobiography of a Yogi, and I read about this life story of this chap called Paramahansa Yogananda in India, in Tibet, who found his teacher, and experienced these incredible levels of self-realization and enlightenment, that I suddenly, for the first time, had another potential for what's possible for a human being. And then I said, I want that. And I knew at the deepest level that I could have it, even though I found myself to be just a sort of average person in many ways and not capable of really functioning particularly well in society. I wanted to become enlightened. And I even found my way to a real enlightenment teacher. So what I want to tell you is that if you feel that something is possible for you in this life, then your intuition is correct. It is. And that it doesn't matter where you are, how old you are, whatever life circumstances that you have. From this moment on, you can decide, I want to find out how to have real meaning and purpose. And if you make a really strong choice, a really clear intent in terms of choosing for freedom, choosing for self-realization, dedicating your life to meaning and purpose, then you will get there. It just has to be important enough for you. So again, there's nothing special about me, but crazily enough, I have been able to answer all of the questions that I had about the meaning and purpose of life, about the nature of consciousness. I found a teacher who kicked my butt, who held me to a higher standard, and helped me really actually become a completely different person. And I spent 14 years with him. And then after that short break, and I found another teacher, an incredible person who gave me yet a bigger perspective on life and our potential, and taught me very powerful Qigong practices. My experience is that me as a very average person, the only thing that has separated me, I think, from the people that I've known that have been on the same path is that I just wanted it enough. I really wanted it enough, and I just never gave up. So I never gave into any kind of victimized thinking or lack. And I had to change a lot about myself. I had to like reprogram my own self-worth, my own self-acceptance. I had to look at all of my trauma. So you got to go through all that stuff. You got to really get to know yourself. But what you'll find when you start on this journey in a really earnest way is, and this is important, the universe is completely on your side. Now, it's not been only my experience, but as I've studied consciousness and I've studied how societies evolve at the level of consciousness, what you start to see is that there is a red line. There's an arrow in all of this going somewhere. And that is that the universe is evolving, and it's evolving to higher states and stages of awareness, of communion, and higher potentials, and that you are intimately connected with the universe when you go beyond your ego self, and that you connect with your authentic self. So as you do your self-inquiry, as you do all of your work, what you're going to find is that you and the universe are one, truly at the deepest possible level. And maybe you've already experienced this in meditation, or, you've taken mushrooms, or you've been with a teacher, and you've had the experience of oneness. Well, that's the truth of our reality. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So when you really legitimately and earnestly take on the path of self-realization, the universe supports you. And it supports you because the universe made you. We've come out of this enormously long evolutionary process from stardust to sentient beings. That is the universe looking to understand itself in and through manifest dimension, right? So you are the universe. So of course the universe supports you in your quest for self-knowledge, supports you much more than you could possibly imagine. When you take one step towards spirit, spirit takes a number of steps towards you. Spirit, God, universe, however you want to think about this. So the universe is fundamentally on your side, but you have to know more than anything, what do you want? Because if you don't know, you're going to be sidetracked by what are all the things that can pull our attention, right? Sex, relationships, romantic relationships, and all kinds of addictions, social media, fame, fortune. There are so many things that can distract us. And somehow I was able to make my search for truth the most important thing, putting it above everything else. And that put me in a lot of challenging situations, but I still managed to have relationships, have a family. I wasn't a monk living in a cave. I was just a dude with a shadow, and doing the best that he possibly could, while attempting to live a very normal life. I did my practice, my meditation practice, all of my work and everything. And I was with my teacher, my spiritual community, but I lived a very normal life. So I can testify to the experience that it's all possible if you want it enough. So you really have to ask yourself, what's most important in your life? And are you willing to commit your life to your highest potential? And then everything will follow. And I can guarantee you that what you will find is deep, deep meaning and purpose. And actually you will find that you have much more capacity to understand truth, to understand yourself at the deepest possible level than you thought that you had. You are way more intelligent, sophisticated, nuanced than you probably imagine yourself to be, because a lot of the time it's just the programming and the egoic layers that we are trying to look through that give us the feeling that we're limited or that we're not capable. But my experience was, when I slowly stripped away these layers, what I found was, I'm way more sensitive and empathic and intuitive and capable of connecting to the universe and finding truth than I ever thought that I was, right? So the way that it works really is that you can think about spiritual development from one perspective as taking away all these layers of conditioning, of programming, all the people that told you that you can't do it and you're limited and that you're small and you're not okay. You slowly clean, your lenses and your conditioning, and what you find is that your authentic self, the being, the purposeful, uh, innocent being that you were born as, was always already available and whole and had so much capacity, and that's going to blow you away. So a spiritual being really is working on removing all of that conditioning, all of that layers, to reveal this pristine intelligence and authentic beauty and enormous potential. That's who you are. That's what you are at your core when you reveal this. So I hope that this small talk has maybe inspired you in some way. And if that's the case, please leave me a comment. Don't just be a passive observer. Engage. If you engage with this video in an authentic way, it'll help you go further. And if you're interested in engaging with me more, check the link in the description below, because I'm busy starting a community of authentic people that are looking to grow and to support each other and to really understand how to access real meaning and purpose in their lives. Check out the link below.